Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and today I want to bring you my 1-week review and FAQ of the Realme X7 Pro. And guys, this Realme X7 Pro has easily become one of my favorite phones of 2020, and it's so refreshing to finally see Realme come back with a terrific device like this one. And so 1 week in, guys, from the display to the performance, terrific audio experience with a dual Dolby Atmos speakers, terrific battery life with a 65-watt super dart charging, unsurpassed in its price point, to cameras that have equaled, if not surpassed, a lot of the phones in this price segment, with flagship features like 4K 60 FPS video recording. I think this Realme X7 Pro is worth every cent, and if it were only not for the build quality and the plastic frame of this phone, I think this phone would be a slam dunk and an even better recommendation than the K30 Ultra. And now let's segue into the first question that I want to answer. But Frankie Tech, is the plastic frame a deal breaker? Because it seemed like to you, it was really the one major negative you had with this phone. And that is right, guys. It definitely is one of the big negatives I do have. And it's not just because it's plastic, it's the way that it's built. And I think it has a little bit to do with these little kind of ridges on the edges. You see one there, and this kind of slight line that you see here from the middle of the frame. Now, typically, if this was metal, this would be a really good look, but because it's plastic, it almost looks like the seams on a toy. You know when you have like a transformer or something like that, and the plastic has been kind of melded together? That's the look that I see with these kind of ridges, and they just don't look very premium at all. And then you may say, but Frankie Tech, most other phones in this price segment are plastic too. But need I remind you, and this is going to be for an upcoming question, Realme has done aluminum edges before. And stay tuned for that FAQ where we do compare this X7 Pro and the X2 Pro in a second. The next question that I've gotten a lot about is, Frankie Tech, can you use GCam on the Realme X7 Pro? And the answer is yes, you can. And here's the GCam port for the Realme X7 Pro. And look at that lag in the viewfinder. It's pretty terrible. Now you may wonder why I don't typically do GCam comparisons on the channel. It's because I think they're a bit of a cop-out. And I think you really need to judge a phone based on the camera software that the OEM has provided. To just excuse poor camera performance on any phone and then just say, oh well, but the GCam will do it so much better, I think that is not cool. And not only is it a disservice to all the people who actually test out the main camera apps on these phones, but guys, it's also just unrealistic. 99% of people will use the built-in camera app on their phones, but despite that, guys, you can see it here, the GCam is just not optimized. And look, it just crashed on me in this moment. Let's go back to it. And I notice also if I go to night mode, it automatically crashes. This is not a stable GCam port for the Realme X7 Pro, but you can take some shots with it, as you can see right there. And let's have a look. And there you see another bug. I can't even have a look at it. But I did manage to get a scene out of the window here earlier with GCam, and as you can see, it looks pretty good. But guess what, guys? This is the stock camera shot. And so as you can see, the AI camera is fully involved here, and it looks just so much better. Now, obviously, for natural colors or for things like night sight, GCam will be helpful. But guys, I really think we need to stop with this "it will do better with GCam" excuse. And the sooner we actually hold OEMs accountable for the quality of their main camera apps, the better they're going to be. And the next question I want to address is, Frankie Tech, we know there's a global release for this X7 Pro, but when is this phone coming to India? Now, we all know the news that the Realme X7 Pro is slated for a Q4 2020 release, and that means mostly European markets. What that means for other markets like India and the Philippines, for example, we'll have to wait and see. But one piece of good news, I think, is the fact that the CEO of Realme India has now become the CEO of European operations as well. And so this hopefully should mean a more unified strategy of releases from Realme mobiles moving forward. Now, while we don't know exact dates, and even for the European release, it just says Q4 2020, I think because of this leadership change, it is more likely that when we see the global release for this X7 Pro series, we're going to see something in India, maybe in the Philippines, and other countries as well. And the next question, and this is a fun one, how does the Realme X7 Pro compare to the best Realme phone that you mentioned of 2019, the Realme X2 Pro? And guys, this could be a full dedicated video, so let me know if there is interest. I'll be happy to do it. Now, as you know, the Realme X2 Pro for me has been the best Realme phone, and I don't think it has been surpassed until maybe right now with this Realme X7 Pro. From the even more immersive display and with performance that you can see surpasses the Snapdragon 855 X65 Plus in the Realme X2 Pro as well. Better speakers, faster charging, and better cameras with the Sony IMX686 on board. This Realme X7 Pro really is what I consider the first big upgrade over the X2 Pro that I would consider myself. But once again, it comes down to build quality, and one area where the X2 Pro is still ahead of this phone, and that is the aluminum edge and build quality. Add to that the inclusion of a 3.5mm headphone jack, and you have a number of reasons why you may still want to pick up this X2 Pro over the Realme X7 Pro. Now, I don't know about you, but man, I really wish that Realme had just put an aluminum frame and a better build quality into this phone. It would have been a hands-down automatic upgrade recommendation from me. But now it's going to come down to you. What do you value in a phone? But the good news is you do have options now on the Realme side between the X2 Pro and the X7 Pro. And the last question I want to address is related to a future phone release. Is this it? Is this the upgrade that we're going to get for the Realme X2 Pro? Or are we going to see a Realme X3 Pro with a Snapdragon 865 in the future? Now, it's not even so much that Realme skipped over the X3, the X4, the X5, the X6, and now are on the X7 Pro. That naming scheme is a bit confusing, but what it does mean to me is that I think Realme is now positioning this X series as the affordable flagship range for their phones in 2020. And so if that's the case, where are we going to see upcoming Snapdragon 865 Plus phones, like what we hoped we would see with a Realme X3 Pro? I think the answer is the X50 series. And given the fact that the X50 Pro is now Realme's only phone with the Snapdragon 865 on board, and that means that this X50 and maybe upcoming X60 series is really where we're going to see the flagship Realme phones moving forward. So I guess that means, and I can say pretty confidently now, is that there will not be any Realme X3 Pro in the future. And we're going to have to settle for this Realme X7 Pro series as the successor to the Realme X2 Pro. And yet, despite the plastic build quality, guys, I think it's a great upgrade. And if you saw my comparison between the K30 Ultra and this phone, you see that in many key areas, this phone just surpasses it. And so as confusing as Realme's naming schemes have been, and as sad as we might be that we will not see a Realme X3 Pro to continue what this amazing affordable flagship started, I'm just glad to see that Realme is back on the map with a terrific release like this X7 Pro in 2020, and hopefully this bodes well for upcoming releases in both this series and the X50 series moving forward. But hit me up in the comments. What are your thoughts on this Realme X7 Pro? And are you excited about a global or India release of this Realme X7 Pro? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for future updates. So thanks for watching, guys, all this Realme X7 Pro coverage. And if you would like to see a full comparison between the Realme X7 Pro and the Realme X2 Pro, do let me know. I'll be happy to do it. So that's it. And this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech, signing off. Have a good one.